Let's discover how to create your own brand in a few steps. Hey everyone, it's Alban from Shopify Tips and Help. The purpose of this video today is to give you the key steps to easily and effectively create your own brand once you have found the concepts that you want to develop. I think we can start by recalling what a brand really is. For some people, it is just a recognizable name and logo that makes it stand out from the competition, but it is much more than that. Your brand, its value and the image it conveys shape the way people perceive your products and services every time they come in contact with your company. I think it is interesting to note that, in a way, we are all our own brand. Let me explain that. So we have a name, a unique physique, a style and a way of communicating and moving that is uniquely ours and that characterizes us. In the same ways, companies have names, products, logos, a reputation that defines them and shapes the way they are perceived. And they also communicate using specific colors, fonts and terminology. When creating your brand, it is important to create a consistent image and to maintain this thread as you associate your brand with all aspects of your business. While you will likely make some adjustment to your decision later on, it is important to consider each aspect as you define your brand identity. Let's look at this aspect together now. So the first thing you have to do when creating your own brand is study the market and find your niche. So basically, who are your potential customers and competitors is the first question you should ask yourself. By knowing your target and your market, you can easily adapt your brand to them and boost your sales. You need to answer the following questions. Who are the most receptive potential customers and to whom you could easily sell? Also, we have who are your main competitors, the established and well-known brands in your target market. And the last important question is how do your customers express themselves, but also what topics are they interested in? All of these questions can be answered by doing some research, which may take some time, but it is necessary. You can do your research in many different ways, and here are several of them. First, it's a good idea to talk to people who are your target audience and try to find out what products or services from competing brands they buy. You can also Google your product or service category and analyze the direct and indirect competitors that appear. Then analyze the accounts and pages on social networks that your target audience follows and likes. And lastly, you can shop online and offline to get an idea of how your customers will view and buy your products. The second important thing when creating your brand is define the characteristics and visions of your brand. It is truly important to accurately define your brand's vision and build on it when defining its other components. One way to define your brand vision is to express your key competitive advantage in a one sentence or a very short paragraph. So this positioning formula will help you answer some key questions about your brand. Then you can ask yourself what words would you associate with your brand. Look at the character traits and personality you want to give to it. By answering those questions, you are already defining your brand and where it is headed. Depending on the type of business you plan to create, the name you choose may or may not be very important. This decision will have an impact on the design of your logo, the choice of your domain name, and your marketing. Ideally, it is best to choose a brand name that is difficult to imitate and different from your competitors' names. If you plan to expand your product's offering in the future, choose a brand name with a broad meaning rather than one that refers too literally to a particular product or service. Since your brand name will also impact the URL of your website, be sure to check the availability of the corresponding domain and name before making your choice. Once you have found a name, you can test it out by sharing it with a few people around you who may have comments and meanings about it you didn't think of. Once you have decided on your name, you will need to focus on the design of your brand, in particular the colors and typography. This will also be very helpful when you get ready to create your website. Colors don't just define the look of your brand. They also convey emotions and help you maintain consistency between the different components of your brand. You should choose colors that differentiate you from your competitors in order to avoid confusing customers. I personally like to use color palette generators to locate colors that go well together. As far as font selection is concerned, aside from the font you plan to use for your logo, you can select 2 other fonts at most to avoid confusing customers. One for the headers and one for the body text. A catchy slogan is a great asset. It should be a concise and descriptive phrase that you can add to your social media bio or your website title, business card, and anywhere else you have limited space to create a big impact. A good tagline should be short, catchy, and create a strong impact. The logo is the first thing that comes to mind when thinking about branding, and it is for a good reason. It is because it's the face of your company. Ideally, your logo should be unique but also recognizable. You have to consider all the places your brand logo will need to appear on, from your website to the profile picture on your Instagram page and even the little icons that appear on the browser window. There are many different types of logos that will be more or less adapted to your clientele. It's up to you to analyze what type of logo you will need for your brand. Keeping a common thread in your branding strategy and applying to all of your business actions allows you to maintain a consistent brand story. A brand story explains who your company is and what it stands for. Once all these steps have been completed, you can finally focus on the website of your brand. While building it, rely on what you have decided before, like the graphic charter, the vision, the values of the brand, and finally, its history. And that's it for the steps to create your own brand. Of course, there are many more steps ahead to develop your brand. Keep in mind that your brand must evolve over time. It is normal if you go back on the decisions that you have made at the beginning. The important thing is to keep your common thread and consistency. I hope you found this useful and that it will encourage you to create your own brand. I would love to hear all about your experience in the comments below. Of course, if you like this video, do not hesitate to like and subscribe. You can also join the private Facebook group on which we put a lot of info about Shopify but also about the business. The link is in the description. Thank you all for watching and have a good day. Bye!